Hi, I'm Tiki Twoflower, and welcome to Cosplay Tips with Tiki. So you're wondering, how do I add lights to my cosplay? Well, today I have Aaron of Wasteland Creations here to tell us. Welcome back, Aaron.
Thanks for having me yet again.
All right, so today you're going to show us how to put lights in cosplay, right?
Yeah, so we're going to start off with very simple things where it's just simple batteries and an LED to make it very simple for people that they just want to add simple lights, nothing, flashing, nothing real flashy going on. It's just, here's some lighting.
Just a light.
And that's it.
All right.
So to give you an example, one of the things I've been working on for a friend of mine has been a Sub-Zero mask. And it's actually a very interesting little feature. So I have just a mask. This was 3D printed at home by me. I masked over the areas. I used a translucent filament. So that filament then is you can shine light through it and it lights it up. And then I masked over the areas that I wanted to actually light up. And then I went through and primed it. And my friend is going to paint it with the color to match his costume. But as you can see, everything's kind of primed except for the areas I want to light up. And then if we rotate to the back, you can see there's tons of wiring because it's all the LEDs. But I have a total of 10 LEDs on this.
Oh, wow.
These are all real small little surface mount LEDs. They're very, very tiny. But they put out a decent amount of light for what he wants, and then he can still keep the mask fairly close to his face. That's why I chose these very small LEDs. So wired everything up, and then I have a little battery pack that I had sitting around and ran 2 wires on a long length of wire so he can put this inside his pocket. And essentially all he has to do is plug it in, put the battery in, and then it lights up. Nothing flashy to it. All the features just light up, and it lasts as long as the batteries end up lasting. And when he's done, he can put in 2 more batteries if he wants. So it's real simple, real easy, and it doesn't take a lot of time really to do this. So this was the little surface mount LEDs. They do make many other different kinds of LEDs, as I'm sure you're aware of. So I have my little box of electronic goodies that I keep. And in it, I have many different kinds of LEDs and switches and other things that I use when I'm doing this. But really, the most common LED that most people will probably use is just a simple little 5mm LED. And granted, on the camera you can't see this very well, but that's a very small LED. There's only 2 leads on it, so you put power to it and it lights up. Very simple. There's all kinds of different ones. There's different colors. In particular with my box, I have an LED where if you hook the power up one way, it turns green. If you hook the power up the other way, it turns red. So it's actually got 2 LEDs built into one LED fixture, and you can make it light up either color depending on how you wire it up. And then, there's obviously little switches. I even have some LEDs from like a flashlight. So I took apart a flashlight, and this is just, the top white LED set to a flashlight that you could use if you really just wanted to light something up that's white, or if you had something that had, say, a colored transparency over it, like a red or a blue, you could light it up with the white light and it would shine through as blue.
Awesome.
So that's essentially what we would do. There's other things like switches, so if you wanted something that, let's say you had a gun. Let's say you had a gun and you just wanted to make like the barrel light up real quick. So you could wire up a switch to it and be able to have it turn on and off every time you hit the switch. And that's kind of just something neat if you wanted to make the barrel light up for, half a second or a second when you hit the barrel or hit the trigger, if you wanted to do that, or have it just sit somewhere else so you can hit it and be able to do that. And then really, so we've kind of gone over little things that you can add to it to generate those effects, generate that lighting, but we haven't talked about probably the main thing you need to worry about the most really, and that's power. How are you going to make the LED light up actually? What are you going to feed it with? In this case, this is a AAA battery container from, I want to say, like a little speaker that I had that I ripped the speakers out of for another prop.
But you can also buy those, right?
You can. I like to reuse things a lot, so I have a ton of the little battery holders from things that I just cut up. And, it's going to be sitting in his pocket, so it's not a real huge concern. So, this is just 2 AA batteries. Another thing you could do is, if you wanted to, you could get a little USB battery pack that you would use, like for instance, charging your phone. And from that, you can use that to actually light it up. You could take a USB cord, that you would plug in here to charge your phone. Get an extra. There's usually, when you buy one of these, you get a cord that comes with it. You can cut off the end, and it's just a power and a ground cable that you can then strip and then wire up to your LEDs. And obviously, they make so many different sizes, and they'll last different amounts of time depending on how big they are and how much capacity they have. But again, it's dependent upon how many LEDs you have, how much power you're drawing, and how long you want it to last.
All right, that's really awesome. But what I'm wondering is how you actually get the lights in the mask to work.
Okay, so, I think you're asking specifically, how did I mount these? With these, I actually just super glued these right to the mask. I took a little bit of super glue, stuck it on the actual mask on the inside, and then held the LED to it until the super glue dried, and that's really how I just mounted these. You could use something as simple as hot glue if you wanted. Really, almost any kind of semi-permanent adhesive would work fairly well. You'd want something preferably that's a little transparent. So, like the clear hot glue would be a little bit better to use, or obviously the super glue I use is clear, so it just shines right through. If you use something like maybe an epoxy that has a little cloudy texture to it, it's going to kind of block the light, and you won't get as much light coming out of your prop as you would if it was something clearer.
All right, so now I know how to mount the lights, but how do I actually connect everything together?
Okay, so since this is a very simple project, you really only have to worry about your positive and your negative voltages, from the battery. So you have a battery pack, and, one side of the batteries has the plus on it, one side has the negative, so you know how it's going to work. You know that the positive side is going to be your positive voltage. But then you have to worry about wiring it all up, and if you actually look at this, you can see that I have just 2 colors of wires throughout this entire mask. The black wire is always the ground or the low voltage, and that has 1 wire going to every LED, and you can kind of see it's always on the bottom side of the LEDs. And then the other side, we have our positive voltage. And again, you see that a wire goes to every single LED with a red wire, and that's on the top side of every single LED you see here. And by putting that voltage across the LED, that's what generates the light. And all I did was I essentially ran 1 red wire from every LED and then connected them all together to the 1 wire coming from my battery pack. And same thing with the black, there's a black wire from every LED coming to a point where I connect them all together, and then the wire from my battery pack connects. So that's how I would do that. However, you're looking at a finished product. Part of it is different that, how do you connect those wires? How do you know which side to even connect it to? Well, it all comes down to testing, figuring it out. What I do is I tend to have a power supply at home that I can change the voltage. It's a little more advanced. But for someone who just wants to do this and have fun, what they can do is they can get their LED. In this case, I have a small one like this, little round LED, and take a little battery pack. I got this at Five Below for $5. It came with a cord, so I snipped the micro USB cord off and stripped the wires a little bit. And then what I do is I go and I connect it. So I know how to connect it, so I'm going to connect it the wrong way first. And you can see that I make the connection and nothing happens. It doesn't light up, nothing happened. So I'm going to flip my LED and connect it up the other way. And now you can see I'm getting a little blue light out of the LED. So that's how I would figure out which side these wires go to on an LED. So now I know which side it goes to on an LED, and I can wire this up and wire it up to a battery pack. I would go through, I might solder wires that come off of each one of the leads on the LED with the corresponding red or black color on them, and then connect up to maybe 4 or 5 other LEDs that are all soldered together with those wires like I did down there, and then connect it to the battery pack wires.
And you can actually get bulbs that already have the leads on there. That's actually what I use because I wanted to try to keep it as simple as possible.
And again, remember, I salvage a lot of things, so this might have gotten taken off toys or other things that my kids have broken or ruined, or that I might have had at work where things that we're throwing away, I take them apart and take the LEDs out of them. So That way I don't have to go out and buy them. But that's, again, how I do things.
Being a cosplayer basically makes you a hoarder.
Yes, it does. You have no idea.
Oh no, I do have an idea. Trust me.
A different world of ideas, I'm sure.
Yes, I think so. All right, so we learned the basics of hooking up an LED bulb to our cosplay. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We have all sorts of other how-to videos, and including some from Aaron showing us more advanced lighting techniques. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.